Hey, do you ever find yourself feeling like you're stuck in the rat race? You're stuck in the hamster wheel just spinning around? And do you ever find yourself looking at these business leaders, these millionaires and billionaires, and saying, how do they do this? How do they build these massive corporations? How do they build these movements? Well, today in this video, we're going to talk about that very thing. And I'm going to share with you some tools that I've used and I've studied through my work with working with millionaires and other billionaires to discover and unlock some of these secrets. So let's go on this journey together to figure out what exactly it is to allow you to have such focus and determination and to build a movement like this. The question that we start with is, what are you meant to solve? You see, life is like this circle. We start up here at the top, at the known, where we think we have things figured out. We feel safe, we feel comfortable, but we're constantly striving and yearning to go into the unknown. And the unknown is where the miraculous happens. We start in that comfortable place. That's you up there with the backpack. We start there where it's comfortable, where it's safe. We have things figured out. Don't get crazy, but then it happens. We feel that calling to more, that desire to go to that next level in our walk, in our journey. You feel that calling, and you typically will have a mentor that comes to you and says, come on, you can do it. It's okay. Come on, let's go. Time to go to the next level. And you connect that with something you've been feeling, that connection around the world, or to launch that new business venture, or to take that new step in your community, something that you have felt, but you haven't been brave enough to jump. And when you do tiptoe up to the edge and you make that jump, that's when the miraculous happens. That's when you see the miracles happen. That's when you meet all these new characters and you have all these new experiences and adventures together in the unknown, and you grow and you get strengthened as you go through these experiences, and you end up at the bottom of this circle where you can pivot and turn back to where you just turn around and go right back to where you was known, where it was safe, or you can persevere. And if you persevere and continue on around the circle, you come out stronger and you return back to the known, a new person with a new perspective in the world, and the known that you thought you knew looks completely different. You're transformed, the world looks different, and most importantly, you now have this group of partners, investors, friends, users, customers that are now part of this movement. They are part of this journey with you, and the story is not just about you, but also about who you are here to serve. And it becomes the story of us together. And then you're ready to go around the circle again, and you're going up to your next level. There's an example of one of my circles, just one. And I challenge you to take time in your own journey, or maybe in your organization's journey, your business journey, your entrepreneur journey, as you're trying to solve problems around the world and in your communities. You are going after some big, hairy problem. We're going to talk about, how do you get other people to make that jump as you go around the circle? How do you become that mentor to guide other people, to call them in and say, let's go. There's so much more for you on the other side. Look at this number. What do you think this represents? 29,000 days. That's about how many days you have on this planet. And then you've got to subtract all these days. If you live to be about 80, you've got to subtract all these days. A third of your days for sleep, almost 4,000 days for work. You've got to subtract 1,400 for eating and drinking, 1,300 days of your life for education. And I know you're going to be thinking about using the restroom, 460 days of your life. My goodness. And you add all of these up, and you're left with just about 5,000 days. 5,400 days left when you subtract it, add them up and subtract. But what if you did not have to subtract all these days? What if you could actually add them in, because you are living in your purpose? You are living and doing, and every waking moment is actually building on that journey. As you're going around these circles, as you're going up that mountain, it's actually connecting to the purpose and with the people that you feel called to serve, solving the problem that you feel called to solve. What if all of your work is not subtracting from the meaningful days of your life, but what if you could add those days back in? And what if you're eating and drinking and your education, and even while you're sleeping, you've got people working with you around the world on the opposite side of the world in different time zones. And while you're sleeping, it's still happening. And while they're sleeping, you're still going. That's the beauty of doing this journey together with other people. So what is it when we talk about what are you meant to solve? What is it that's so special when you study the millionaires and billionaires and these big, massive movements? What is it that helps them understand? But one of the things is we go through our framework, the you, love people, go places, change lives. I've taught thousands of students, and we've had 2 million participants in over 30 countries and 6 languages. And this is also a course I teach around the world. I've worked in from jungles to palaces in the Middle East, and at Johns Hopkins University as a required course, and with many other business leaders and or executives just like you that are trying to figure out, how do we create that movement? How do I get off that hamster wheel? How do I get out of that stuck mindset where I just feel stuck and it's depressing and I feel like I just keep doing the same thing over every day, but I feel that calling to more. I feel that calling to what's next, but I have no idea where to start. Well, let me just say, the fact that you have listened to that voice and you hear that calling, you feel that calling to more, you have tapped into that passion that you have, that is a great start. And once you identify a problem or a challenge, when you look back at your life, what has brought you here? We do not understand the future, but we can understand the past. All those days that you've already lived that have brought you here are going to help you go forward into the future. And so as we look back over our journey, we realize both the beautiful days and the painful days, the frustrating issues that we've had to deal with have all helped bring us here and have introduced us to challenges and problems that we feel called to solve. And that is the key. That is where you need to start before you go any further on this journey and we start talking about how we're going to solve these problems and what solutions look like. First, we need to understand the problem and the people that are facing that problem. We need to understand it better than anyone else. Fall in love, write this down. Fall in love with the problem you're trying to solve. Don't fall in love with your idea of a solution. Let me say that again. Fall in love with the problem you're trying to solve. Fall in love with understanding the complexities and the layers of the problem and the pain points more than you love your idea of a solution right now. If you start out with your ideal solution, it may look completely different once you get in there. 99% of the time. It's going to look different after you get in there, you start testing it with real people. It's going to change. Otherwise, you're just going to ride that thing down into nothing. So you got to be ready to fall in love with the problem. Love the people, love the problem, love, listen, learn. And before we go into the problem, we also have to understand our own journey and understand who we are and what has brought us to this point in the journey. So as you're thinking about what business to start or how do I scale my business, you have to think about what is the problem that I'm addressing? What is the big, hairy, audacious problem? And that's what we call the BHAP. And we have a BHAP statement. The BHAP statement is I want to help who, that's the blank, to what, the other blank, because my why, that's the third blank. There's 3 blanks. I want to help who, to what, because my why. And we spend months going through this with different leaders and organizations and individuals who are just from the beginning startup level to far advanced executives and government leaders. This is such a powerful exercise to help hone in, refine, and understand the big, hairy problem that you feel called to solve. And starting with that, that will be the foundation and the driving motivation as you go forward on this journey. And as you find more people, as you go around these circles and have all these challenges and triumphs and these dark moments where you feel like you're going to give up, you're going to keep going because you're going to be driven by this big challenge, this big, hairy, audacious problem that you feel called to solve. and you're not going to give up. You're not going to turn back. And other people are going to be magnetized to that. So you can study billionaires, millionaires, and see from example what has happened in their journey to have other people be magnetized to solve the problem. If you're going to do something big in this earth, the reason business is so beautiful is it forces us to connect with each other, to love and to serve one another. We live out our purpose together. It will never happen in a silo. It's only going to happen together with other people. And business is such a beautiful way that we all organize, we collaborate, we serve, and we work together. And you're solving problems for people you may never meet face to face. You may never even meet them personally, and you will have solved a problem for them. How cool is that? We could go on about the beauty of business and the way that has been set up and the spiritual impact of that. But let's talk about some examples. Y'all know about Steve Jobs with Apple, and what an amazing story when he left Apple and was sort of kicked out of the company that he built. And he had this amazing moment where he went and started a thing called Next, really his next venture. And he went to started Pixar, helped scale up Pixar and take that to amazing levels. Then Apple had lost its way. And Apple asked him, please come back. Short version. I'm giving you a very concise version. They asked him to come back. He came back. And everything had to go back to the basics. When he came back, he found that Apple had started solving all other kinds of problems. They were doing printers and all other kinds of devices. And it was so complex. He looked at the product lineup and said, what would I tell someone who didn't know anything about Apple Computer? What would I tell them to purchase? It's so confusing. So they clarified, they simplified the product line and drew an axis with a 4-part grid. And they had 2 personal and 2 pro, a desktop and a laptop for each. And that's it. The power of simplicity and focus on who it is that we serve and how we help them, what problem we're trying to solve for them. And in addition to this, the very first action, as they were trying to simplify this timeline, the very first action that they took and the first thing he rolled out and was focused on was going back to the heart of the company, going back to the heart of the business with Apple. And that's where the powerful campaign, here's to the crazy ones, the Think Different campaign. And here's to the crazy ones, the round pegs and the square holes, the ones who think different, the ones that you cannot ignore. You may vilify, you may disagree, you may hate them, but they change things. And they didn't even say anything about computers. They didn't say anything about digital devices. They didn't say anything about motherboards and wires and circuits and how big our hard drives are. They just talked about who we are here to serve and the problems and the challenges that they're facing. We empower these creatives, these ones who think different. And they flashed up, all these musicians and artists, challengers of society, right? Of the status quo. But that was the rally cry for bringing Apple back to the heart of what it does and who it is and why it exists. And coming back to that was the beginning of what led that. If you just look at the stock chart of Apple from that moment to today, and as it grew to become the most valuable company in the world, was from that moment. And to this day, and it has kind of pivoted a little bit, but it has still followed that same trajectory. And even when it's rolled out new hardware and new software and changed, it kept that same drive and that same momentum, even up to the iPhone and other products. Let's take another look at Elon Musk and Tesla and SpaceX. When you go back to the why, these are the richest people in the world. When you look at the why of the company, it's not just about creating a car company with Tesla. It's about creating a sustainable future and accelerating the transition of the world to sustainable energy. That's a much bigger purpose, a much bigger why. And as you're thinking about getting off the hamster wheel and getting off of that rat race that we feel like we're stuck in, just doing the same thing every day, You need to find that big challenge, that big, hairy, audacious problem that's going to fire you and drive you to get up every day. Just like all these amazing photos on the wall here that we celebrate all the lives of the people that are impacted through our programs and through the work and the businesses that have been started together. You need to find that fire that wakes you up every day and say, this is about something bigger. Yes, I got to send these emails and do this report, and I've got to have those meetings, and we got to work on the product line and all these things, but it's bigger than that. And I'm challenging you today to go back to the origin, to the why, and that's what's going to build that strong foundation for where you're going on your trajectory. SpaceX is another great example. We talk about this a lot with our clients and partners that we work with. With SpaceX, it's not just about building rockets, which is really cool, but it's about even a bigger vision. Building rockets is super cool. Being a rocket scientist is super cool. All the engineering problems are really cool, but that's not the end. That's just a means to the end. The end is really to become a multi-planetary species. That's a big, hairy goal, right? That is so audacious and crazy, it sounds like. And that is what's driving everything else. So when we're making the boots to go on the space suits, it's not just about, oh, we're creating boots and suits, and we're creating heat shields for the outside of the starship, and we're reusable rockets are amazing. They're catching these boosters on autonomous drone ships and the Starship booster with arms that comes. It's incredible, but it's bigger than all of that. It's about a bigger meaning, a bigger purpose. And so following this template of millionaires and billionaires, you can see it over and over and over. It's about something much bigger than just having a company, just having a business, just making money. It's about something much, much bigger. And so when we take you on this framework, when we go together around this You Love People, Go Places, Change Lives framework, it starts with you. That is where so many people skip. They jump past that and want to get the logo and the website and let's scale. Or if you're an existing company, I worked with many multi-million and multinational companies that want to just jump to solutions without really understanding the why, or what is the foundation, what is driving this. And when we hit those difficult days, are we really going to keep going? And do we really understand the people that we're serving? If we say we love them and we want to serve them and create amazing, magical solutions, do we even understand them? Can we take the time to really step back and understand what is the big problem that's going to change this outcome for them? So I want to encourage you today, keep going, change that multi-millionaire, billionaire mindset. You have that. It's inside of you. There is something that's calling you, and just the fact that you feel that, even though you feel like you're in a rat race, you feel like you're stuck today, don't stop, don't quit. Imagine all the people just cheering for you, saying, don't stop, don't quit, don't give up. We need you. I can't imagine 7 years ago, all these people that I would not have met if I had just stayed on my comfortable, my golden handcuff treadmill. But I got off, I made this crazy jump, and you can do it too. Make that jump, improve your business, take it to the next level by focusing on that big, hairy, audacious problem that you feel called to solve. Let's get after it.